Alright, welcome back to another Art of War 3 replay. I'm your host, John Cena, and today we're going to be doing a clan versus clan 2v2 battle. I'm going to be the blue Confederate player, my ally EveRommel C is going to be the green Confederate player. So let's go and get into it. We're going to be facing off against two Confederate Medalists from the Call Me God clan, and we can see we're off to a fast-paced start to the game. It looks like purple is trying to press an early assault here with some fortresses and assaults, while EveRommel in the meantime is getting a good scout onto the orange player's base. We can see that orange is in production vehicles, so a possible rush build from these players. Both of these players are multi-time AI medalists, so this clan tends to like to rush, and they tend to like to hit hard with their rushes. So we can see that we're getting a scout onto purple. Purple is still HQ2 at this time. Meanwhile, I'm still HQ2, just producing some ground units for defense here. So we're going to go for a mix of fire assaults, heavy assaults with hammer tanks. Looks like orange is getting a scout onto EveRommel's base there. And we can see I'm just continuing to pump out hammer tanks. Looks like there's a cyclone from the purple player getting a scout onto my base. EveRommel's launching another incursion onto orange player. Look at this. Orange has a vertex already on the battlefield, so orange is already HQ3 at this time, has the tech advantage on both EveRommel and I. So looks like EveRommel is going to flag that airfield, which is a good call. So I'm going to go ahead and make some Typhoons to counter. Meanwhile, I'm sending a hammer tank to scout, and we can see that there's a defensive line set up with infantry and fortresses. So it doesn't look like purple is going to attack anytime soon, so I'm going to take this time to tech up and produce some more units. I'm going to try and get some heavy armor out as well. My plan is to go for an HQ3 army and then make a push to see what happens. So we can see that I'm starting to get some Typhoons and Cyclones into the mix, as well as some Zeus tanks with that level 3 assault vehicle factory. I'm using my Cyclone to deny scouting from the purple player, and we can see that EveRommel is also in production of units, but EveRommel is still HQ2 at this time. So let's get a scout onto purple. We can see that purple is going camper mode now. We see some torrents being deployed at the front of the base for the purple player. So I'm going to need some artillery of my own. Here comes the vertex from the orange player, scoring a hit onto the infantry for EveRommel. And we see EveRommel is attempting to capture that resource container, and EveRommel is going to get the container, but here comes Zeus tanks coming in, and they're going to steal the resources from EveRommel. So EveRommel's going to come in and counterattack. EveRommel's got a bunch of hammer tanks, so EveRommel's got the numbers, but the orange player has the tech advantage with those Zeus tanks. Those Zeus tanks are issuing some heavy damage against those hammer tanks. So EveRommel's got some fire assaults in the mix to tank some of the damage. Looks like EveRommel is going to try and kind of work their way towards orange's base. Vertex coming in with the aviation support. EveRommel's got Typhoons, but he doesn't have enough to fully zone out the Vertex, so the Vertex are able to score some hits onto Eve. Meanwhile, we're going to move on to the purple player here. I've got my Torrent firing onto purple, and we can see those torrents are firing onto my units, so I'm going to try and keep my units mobile and close the distance. Here comes the assault from the orange player onto Eve. In the meantime, we are slugging it out on the battlefield here. This is a full-on engagement between my army and purple's army. Looks like purple's army is collapsing fast, though. They are losing that defensive line quickly. Purple doesn't quite have enough Zeus tanks in the mix there to tank damage, so my armor is coming in now. We've cleaned up the main defensive line, and now we're going to start to move on to the purple player's base. So construction yard is going to go down for the purple players, so purple's not going to be able to expand. We see another torrent deployed in the back of the base there. Purple is now in trouble. We see those cyclones from purple trying to dish out damage against my units. Here comes the vertex from the orange player. Orange trying to provide that aviation support with the jets dishing out damage. Meanwhile, EveRommel is going to make a push onto the orange player. He's only got a handful of infantry and hammer tanks here. Meanwhile, my assault here is making some good progress, pushing onto purple. Purple doesn't really have any units to defend with, and look at this. Orange has gone HQ4 during all this time, and we can see that there's double vehicle factories producing vehicles there. tanks moving in now from my side. I'm starting to stream in steady reinforcements now, really trying to put that pressure onto the purple player. Don't want purple to come back in. Looks like EveRommel has lost all of his ground troops. My units, meanwhile, are doing a good job continuing to press. We're starting to get to some of the critical infrastructure. Assault vehicle factory goes down. No more Zeus production for the purple player. But look at this. There's a level 3X facility in the back of purple's place. And purple is going to try and get a Solaris tank out potentially. So we're going to see if we can close the distance and try and get rid of these factories here. We're going to get rid of this AVF factory here. No more cyclones for the purple player. But here comes the Solaris tank, and it looks like Solaris has some upgrades to it, and it's going to activate its skill there. That concentrated beam dishes out some good damage against my troops, but this Solaris is heavily outnumbered by my forces. Meanwhile, EveRommel once again making another push onto orange. EveRommel's doing a really good job just keeping that pressure on orange, and that's going to prevent orange from reinforcing their ally. The Solaris tank has been cornered by my forces and is now going to get destroyed. So looks like EveRommel's still moving in, trying to see if he can go for that airfield. My troops are slowly moving in. I've got more Typhoons in the mix now, so I can better zone out those jets. Here comes the jet returning though. Looks like the airfield was destroyed by EveRommel. And we're going to take out the X facility there. Purple's in huge trouble. We can see that Purple has no way to drop any buildings right now. They have no construction yard at all. And these factories are slowly going down one after another. And we're going to go ahead and take out this headquarters here. Headquarters does go down. Very nicely done. Now we're going to go ahead and clean up the rest of the purple player's base here. So this is now turned into a 2v1 on the battlefield. EveRommel still producing more tanks and infantry, still continuing to pressure the orange player. Orange is now trying to dig in. He's got a mix of Zeus tanks and fortresses to deal with EveRommel's forces. So EveRommel is not quite strong enough to break the orange player, but EveRommel is producing enough to keep that orange player occupied. Here comes the Vertex once again. Vertex trying to dish out damage against EveRommel's hammer tanks. I'm starting to move in my Zeus tanks and artillery. Here comes my Torrents now. Torrents dishing out damage from long range. Orange is starting to run out of options here. Orange needs to do something, but they are cornered at this time. Got a red vehicle attack boost going just to boost my units slightly in their power. I'm not too concerned at this point. I think we've got the game in the bag here. So I've got my Typhoons pretty close by as well, and look at this, dishing out some nice damage against those Vertex. The Vertex can't stick around for too long. Look at how they're just taking all those missile hits from the Typhoons. So I am going to lose all of my Torrents in the process here. This last one does get cleaned up, but in the process, we are going to clean up those Vertex from orange. So I'm going to go ahead and retreat here. I was going to try and produce some more tanks to reinforce. But we can see that orange is playing extremely defensively. Orange is cornered. They have no way out. And they're going to go ahead and self-destruct to end the game. Alright, that's the game. Hope you all enjoyed it. We will see you in the next one.